Welcome to 10 additional Amiga 500 minigames that you must add. I've copiously combed multiple reviews and I've come up with a list of 10, and I might just throw in a bonus game. Get comfy, let's go. The Amiga 500 Mini is about to launch in North America, and there's already been a lot of buzz about it here in the UK and the rest of Europe. And I, for one, have covered this home computer, this new Mini, extensively here on the channel. We've covered different USB devices that you can use, some that work, some that don't. On the Amiga 500 Mini, we've tested every single base game, we've reviewed it, we've tested additional games, I've tested games on your recommendation. But today, I've done my research and I've had a look at some of the best Amiga games out there that perhaps aren't the typical mainstream games that you might expect. Today, we are going to be demoing 10 additional games that you might want to consider for your Amiga 500 Minis, and I'm going to be adding in a bonus 11th game as well. So without further ado, let's take a look at that, and then we'll come back. Please enjoy and don't skip, because there's so much nostalgia in this episode. Dragon Breed released in 1989 in the beloved arcades and followed a year later on home computers. Dragon Breed takes the form of a classic side-scrolling shooter, a formula that is so familiar with early 90s video games. And we ride this glorious dragon through copious amounts of enemies. Dragon Breed, whilst it's not as fast as other side-scrolling shoot-em-ups such as, say, Super R-Type, there's no doubt in my mind that this is a hell of a lot easier and perhaps a more entry-level game for people who aren't as skilled at the side-scrolling shoot-em-up genres. So get your controllers ready on your A500 Minis, because Dragon Breed is now an essential game that you must get. Dyna Blaster is the Amiga's Bomberman. It is Bomberman. Most of us are familiar with this awesome puzzle adventure game whereby we have to kill every single weird looking enemy on the screen by utilising bomb drops. Beware though, you need to move yourself out of the bomb blast radius, and the game notoriously gets more and more difficult as you progress. Now, once all enemies have been cleared on the level, you need to continue to utilise your bomb dropping skills and find the hidden exit. Again, this is a classic formula, one that I remember staying up and pulling all-nighters on when this was out on the PlayStation 1. Good times here, guys. Bomberman, aka Dyna Blaster, on the Amiga 500 Mini. Gloom released in the mid-90s and is a classic Doom clone. Arguably, Doom is exclusive in its own rights, but Gloom actually does a relatively decent job in mimicking the classic Doom gameplay. Now you might be thinking that the graphics on this are pretty poor, and you might be right, but for me it is perfectly playable. It also got a release on the Amiga CD32, and I felt that the controls on the CD32 version were a little bit more responsive than what I found on the A500 Mini. Now on the topic of graphics, as I mentioned a short while ago, there was an additional version of Gloom released called Gloom Deluxe, which really tightens up on the polygons and the overall aesthetics of this awesome game. Now in terms of the aspect ratio, I want to point out that this is the aspect ratio in its native state. In fact, all of the games that I demo here today haven't had any altered settings, so everything that is booted up is as is from its native state on the A500 Mini. Now perhaps this is user error on my part, but I was trying to use the shoulder buttons to get that strafe motion on the A500 Mini, and unfortunately it wouldn't work. Yes, I can remap the controllers, but again I'm mentioning it from native states, the strafe function didn't work. Now when I played this on my A500 Mini via the Amiga CD32 port, the L and R buttons did work perfectly well. Enable to strafe, I didn't have to change any settings or reconfigure the controller at all. So that is just a small point that I wanted to kind of put out there. And if you want to know how to put Amiga CD32 titles onto your A500 Mini, I will link a video in the cards as well as in the description and pinned comments. Gods up next then, released in 1991 by the Bitmap brothers for the Amiga and the Atari ST, later coming to the likes of the Sega Mega Drive and the awesome Super Nintendo. Dubbed as the jump and run platformer, it is pretty much that. You need to time your jumps well because there's lots of different objectives to get through, get by and get beyond, and whilst you can collect weapons as well, your agility and timing is just as much of a weapon as anything you pick up in the game. Jimmy White's Whirlwind Snooker. Never would I imagine that I would sit down to enjoy a snooker game as much as I enjoyed this. It wasn't just the gameplay that did it for me, but it's the sounds that the balls make on the table. There's just something so relaxing about it. The game at the time was praised for its 3D abilities, smooth gameplay, and it's just all out fun. I really am enjoying this game on my Amiga 500 Mini, and it's definitely one that you guys need to add. Leander is probably the game in this list that looks the best. I think the colour palette is just absolutely divine, and the way it plays, it feels incredibly smooth. The game was published by Psygnosis, one of the notable publishers from the early 90s and spanning right throughout the PlayStation 1 era. So this game already had a bit of a head start in terms of its credentials here. There are 3 worlds in this game with approximately 7 levels per world. You can collect various pickups, swords, potions, different items, etc. And you have to find a hidden item within the level and you get your clue at the beginning. So there's a little bit of a challenge, almost like a hide and seek essence of the game here, with some awesome platforming goodness with enemies sprawled out and different jumps to be able to navigate the level. Legends on the Amiga was released in 1996. This is also available on the Amiga CD32. It is hard not to make comparisons between The Legend of Zelda on the awesome SNES. I think it's very difficult actually. If there's any kind of top-down RPG, there's always a comparison to The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. But this game is a game in its own right. What it does well is stands out from any other Amiga game out there and actually has a pretty decent backstory. Quote, "An alien race watch the wars on Earth as television shows. After a period of peace threatens the ratings, 2 alien scientists go back in time on various continents of the planet and start to deploy modern weaponry on them. When they return to the present, Earth is engulfed by chaos." So Legends is a pretty unique game and one which I'm highly recommending that you dive into and take some time to really absorb the world, the characters, the sound, and just the awesome colour palette. I love this game and I'm looking forward to playing more. Pac-Mania, Pac-Man, it needs minimal introduction from me. This gorgeous yellow weird looking character and his minion of ghosts chasing him around map after map after map has been around since the 1980s and still here today in 2022. It's a fantastic formula that works, and obviously it's not exclusive to the Amiga home computers. Pac-Man appears on pretty much every device and console out there. Arcades, you name it. This is an awesome little game with the isometric 3D effect that really bolsters Pac-Man's charm. So let's enjoy this together and we're going to let the rest of the gameplay pan out here. Guys, let me know, when did you first play Pac-Man and on what platform did you first play it on? Rodland is a gorgeous looking game in which you control two fairies, or rather your characters, Tam and Rit. This can be played two-player simultaneously. Players must use their rod to immobilise the blobs on the screen, and once immobilised they can then utilise a little bit of magic from the rod to whip them from side to side and therefore killing them. For me, what I love about Rodland is its simplicity. The levels are pretty small, the objective is clear, and I also love the colour palette. Now, I've said often in my episodes that I'm drawn to games with vibrant colour, and Rodland is no exception. Look at it, guys. It also sounds fantastic too. So this is a must-play, charming game on your A500 minis. It oozes 90s, and again, like many of these titles we've discussed today, I am looking forward to diving into it a little bit more. Pretty epic, if I do say so myself. I'm really happy with how the community are coming together with the Amiga 500 Mini. It's really revitalising the thirst for, I think, for me definitely, for the Amiga. And obviously if you've been following the channel, particularly over the last 5 to 6 weeks, you would have seen an absolute plethora of content, which a lot of you guys have been finding really useful. At the minute, I'm waiting for my new Amiga 500 to be ready, recapped, etc. If you've seen one of my latest episodes, you'll see, in fact, I'll link it anyway, but this is the thumbnail you want to be looking for. Go and take a look at that. But in terms of the Amiga 500 Mini, we ain't done. There was a recent social media post by the developers explaining that they've got some brand new firmware in testing. What that means, we don't know just yet. But there's lots and lots of requests from the community as to what they would like to see. So it's exciting times. I'll be covering everything here. So make sure you guys subscribe. Hopefully when I'm over COVID, I'm going to be getting out there and doing a retro game hunt, because I've missed the Birmingham retro game market today as I film this. So a bit of a personal, heartfelt message from me in this episode. Gutted to have been missing that market. But we'll get back out there soon. So guys, thank you so much. Please subscribe, enjoy, and I'll catch you in the next one. Every Amiga episode will be linked and pinned in the cards. Take care.